Three, two, one.
How's it going, everyone? This is DJ Aceman alongside the legendary Life of Big Don here today for the Peace and Chaos program. What's going on, Big Don?
Nothing much. We got a big show tonight. We got a lot of events going on within the realm of politics and the world. We got some big things covered tonight, including Biden's address to the inauguration. Not the inauguration, to Congress. I got my things mixed up there. We also got the Rudy Giuliani investigation. And we're going to be talking about Caitlyn Jenner and her run for potentially governor of California. California.
Yes. Big show for you all tonight. Of course, just to let you guys know, every time before we start our social media, you can always go find us on social media on Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. That is Peace and Chaos P1 on Twitter. This is it right here. And also, if you ever forget about it, you can always go onto our main homepage on YouTube and you can click the banner. We have a little Twitter icon and also an IG icon as well. And this is our Instagram for you guys all to go check out. Peace and Chaos _ podcast. That is Peace and Chaos _ podcast. Go check it out right now or later on after we do polls on here. We always put up the thumbnail as well, and we always let you all know and remind you when our show is going to be, and that is every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Anyways, it's been a big week. We had President Biden's address earlier in the week. We also had some news going on in California with the governor's race, and also the census results came out on Monday as well, and also Rudy Giuliani, Trump's personal lawyer. So anyways, let's go right into President Biden's address. So this week, President Biden had his address to Congress, and he talked a lot about different topics. He talked about our response to coronavirus, how it's been a victory so far. He's also spoke about consolidating democracy in the United States, meaning that we need to continue to defend our democracy. He spoke a little bit about what happened on January 6th. He also was speaking a little bit about how to rebuild the economy. So he outlined two plans, both the Family Rescue Plan and also the American Jobs Plan. So both of these plans kind of outline what he sees for the economic side and also just economic policies in general for what he sees as appropriate and is best fitting for the American public. So he kind of outlined that. And he was also outlining a little bit about his intentions of passing the George Floyd bill, which is currently sitting in Congress. He would really love to see that passed. But some of the American people loved it. On our poll, we had everyone liking President Biden's address to Congress. However, some people were not so much. There were some people that did not like it. I think 85% of people, according to an ABC poll, thought that President Biden's address was in good favor, good intention to the American people, but 15% did not like it. So overall, it did pretty well, but still there were some people that didn't like it. And in his address, in his response to President Biden's address, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina criticized a lot of Biden's main points in it, and he also criticized the fact in saying, which actually got really got a lot of public publicity on social media, especially on Twitter, the next day, saying that America is not a racist country. And he kind of criticized the fact about systemic racism. And in general, he was talking a lot about race in his response because he's a Black Republican senator, my bad, of South Carolina. But anyways, that was a little bit about it. But first, Big Don, I just want to get your overall thoughts if you watched it or if you watched the highlights and what you thought of it.
Yeah, I'll give my general thoughts on it. Overall, whenever we have like a State of the Union, or I guess an address to Congress in this case, it's always interesting to see what one side of the aisle looks like in the other. First, I thought I'd say that, but in terms of his speech himself for Biden, it was very policy focused. I mean, he outlined a lot of stuff to get done over the first term of his presidency, or I guess the first year. Of course, a lot of the focus right now has been on COVID, but he also talked about stuff like climate change. Obviously, we talked about the George Floyd bill. a lot of other issues pertaining to America. Overall, I would say it was very well executed by Biden. He was able to pass out, come off as well. We can cater to both sides here in terms of what our policies are, but overall, this is not really like I'm not really a Democrat president or not really a Republican president. I'm a president for America. I think that message probably resonated a lot with people. I think overall he ended himself very well with his address.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I thought so too. I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched a little bit bits and pieces, especially of like the plans that he had. But overall, the tone there was pretty much, American like focused. He really focused on the working class, the middle class. Kind of sounded like an old-fashioned speech in a way, something that was pretty appropriate. I mean, it is appropriate for today as well, but it sounded like any other American president, kind of like best intentions for the country kind of thing, speaking about COVID and kind of remaining optimistic. So overall, I thought that it was pretty good in terms of the message of it. And I thought that it was overall it wasn't bad. I thought that the plans he outlined are also something to look at as well. I thought that both plans, are good. Some people have been arguing though that some of them don't really make a whole lot of sense, and that there could be some change economically. But overall, I thought that both plans that he outlined were pretty well intended as well. So with that said, let's look at the first one that I have up, the American Jobs Plan, which this one is focused on rebuilding the economy and also rebuilding the working class. So these are some of the things he outlined on here. Some of the things that they have. This is from the whitehouse.gov. So if you guys want to look at it or whatever, you can always go check it out on there as well. So these are some of the provisions of it, or kind of just statements that they would like to see happen. They want to fix infrastructure, specifically highways, bridges, ports, airports, and transit systems. They also want to deliver clean drinking water, a renewed electric grid, and a high-speed broadband to all Americans. And they also want to build, preserve, and retrofit more than 2 million homes and commercial buildings, modernize our nation's schools and child care facilities, and upgrade veterans hospitals and federal buildings. So a lot of this is just kind of like rebuilding institutions, infrastructure, and trying to focus on jobs for that, and also to make things more sustainable for the future as well. And then they go into detail more about revitalizing manufacturing, solidifying the infrastructure of our care economy by creating jobs and raising wages. We also have on here creating good quality jobs that pay prevailing wages in safe and healthy workplaces. Build a working class, world-class transportation infrastructure, and all of that as well. But most of it is trying to focus on, creating jobs in different states, just rebuilding things, making things more durable and efficient. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that especially some states are lacking in infrastructure while other states are doing pretty well in it. But I think that overall, with this plan, they're really hoping to get construction back, up and running, and getting people, out of being unemployed to having something to do. Big Don, what do you think of this?
Yeah, infrastructure is a major need for the United States, not just in rural rural states where you're not going to see a lot of infrastructure, you're not really going to see a lot of big cities, but also in some big cities as well. I mean, we're talking about cities like New York. They can use a huge ramp up in their public transportation, especially with the subways. There's also a lot of cities out there that don't really have so much in New York, where it's just like, okay, the public transportation and some of the other infrastructure, I mean, they're just not very modernized compared to some other countries. I mean, a lot of countries such as Japan, and then obviously some of the countries like Eastern Europe, like I don't know, I think Switzerland's one of them. They invest a lot in sort of public transportation, especially railways. And I think Biden has made a big deal about this. I mean, we saw this even after sort of his address. We saw this with his sort of commencement, his celebration of Amtrak, Of course,
Mhm,
Biden is always likes to make speeches about how he loves to take the train in,
mhm.
and but this is definitely something to be investing in. And in terms of the amount of jobs it's going to bring a huge amount of jobs. The question is as I kind of alluded to this, is where exactly is this going to be focused? Are we going to see a lot more stuff in store for our urban areas, or are we going to see some more investment in our rural areas where there's not really a lot of people within them, and there's just pretty much land. So, so for people like, but I think there should be some investment into that.
I agree. I agree. I think that especially in rural areas, where even though there's not really a lot of people living there, I think that still a lot of it's used for transportation. Highways cut through rural areas. It's not just. I mean, they connect metropolitan area to metropolitan area, and between there's some rural communities and rural areas. So I think that to just benefit everyone, I think that they still need to focus on rural areas as much as urban areas. And I think that since most people in the US kind of live in the suburbs and urban areas, of course, I mean, they're going to focus a lot on that. But I think that looking at the rural areas as well and just seeing, okay, we need to focus on this, this, and this, it's going to just make it more efficient for the American public. It's going to benefit everyone. So I think when they look at it, I think it's going to be both rural and urban, but still, I think we're going to have to focus on some aspects of rural life as well. It's not just going to be centered around the urban areas, but I think again, it's going to do really well for the United States. I think that yeah, comparing us to the rest of the world, um, the U.S. ranks 13th when it comes to overall quality of our infrastructure. They say it right here. They do address it. So I mean, there are some countries in Europe and also in Asia that lead us in this category, and that's something that we need to really focus on, is to have a better infrastructure system put in place for highways, rail, airports, ports, et cetera, et cetera. And we need to do it to, improve. We can do a lot better with this. And since we are a wealthy country and an advanced economy, we have the power to do it. It's just a matter of when. And I think right now is a pretty good time to do it. Right after a pandemic, the economy, is slowly rebuilding back compared to last year when it got shut down. I think it's a good idea now to do it. And I think it's going to make a lot of sense. So that was kind of my thoughts on the American Jobs Plan.
Yeah, and
And
also
yes.
another component of it is the amount of resources that are going to be going into stuff like greener energy. Like
Mhm.
Biden has proposed, I think, 500,000 charging stations to be put all around the United States by the end of the year. I think we're on that track currently, from what I've seen from companies such as ChargePoint, who is the leader right now in sort of getting all these charging stations across the United States. We're seeing some of them pop up here in the Northeast, but I mean, if we see this expand more out to rural America, the use for stuff like solar, obviously electricity, electric cars, EVs are very popular now. I mean, those are going to be a big investment, judging
Mhm.
by what Biden has laid out here.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see, for sure,
And
of what that sort of is going to change. I want to hear the conservative justification for it, because if you look at it right now, I mean, clean energy is not pretty cheap.
yeah, it's getting more cheaper, I think, as time goes on and technologies improve. But I think that there are still some people that do say, well, you know what? I think that, some of it doesn't work. That's what they're going to say, and they might say, well, it's harder to convert solar energy and wind energy. And, they might say, well, it's hard, it's costly to put up these things. I mean, that's kind of the argument for some people. And I mean, you kind of have to understand some people are just reluctant because of the cost.
Yeah,
It's something that when people hear, oh, it's going to cost X amount, millions and millions or billions, they're going to say, oh, we don't want this. I
right. And
think
that's kind of the
that's,
scare we're seeing in the Green New Deal. But I think Biden's. I mean, I looked at this a lot during his presidential run. Biden's plan is only like 2 trillion over 10 years, which is not bad. I mean, it's definitely comparable to other stuff we spend.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's still, there's, the budget some people might be criticizing, but I think overall, I think when you look at it, I think most of the developed countries anyways, they kind of already implemented all these plans. They're a little bit ahead of us. You know, some countries in Europe have already done it where they've kind of set aside a budget for um, greener infrastructure and different incentives that are environmentally friendly. So I think that, you know, right now is a good idea. Um, it's just a matter of how the budget is. What number did you say it was again?
Uh, 2 trillion over 10 years. So that's going to
Okay.
be 200 billion
Oh
over
yeah,
each
yeah.
year.
Yep, yep. Okay. That could work, I guess. I think some people are just a little like we're already, 31 trillion in debt now. So I
Yeah, I
think
could. I'll double check now. I'm just curious to see what the national debt level is.
it was
National
I haven't looked at it in a little bit.
debt.
Well, anyways, there I mean some people are gonna say that too and saying, well, we shouldn't really be running up the debt even more, and even more. So that's a whole other
28.
argument. 28? Okay.
28 trillion.
Okay. Yeah, it was around there. It was around 28 trillion early on in the year. I thought it went up a little bit. It didn't go up as much. But still, yes, some people are a little bit on the verge of that as well. And I think
Yeah.
that that's another thing where I don't know if it's right to be fiscally conservative right now or not, but we are in a pandemic still, so spending kind of is necessary.
I mean, Biden did talk about this a little bit. I mean, he is planning on increasing taxes for the wealthy.
Oh yeah, he spoke about that. Also, we can look it up here. Yeah, it was like 455,000, I believe. If you make more than that, there will be an increase. And he was also speaking about just his criticism of trickle down economics. So, trickle down economics, basically in a nutshell, is you know
Top
taxing
down.
yeah, top down. It's like the belief that if you don't tax the wealthy as much, that it'll benefit the lower class anyways through jobs and other things like that. When in reality, there are some arguments saying that it doesn't work, and Biden is one of those that believes it doesn't work. So therefore, he's going to raise it. But I think he said that with his tax plan, it's mostly he wants to really expand. He said it in his words. I believe he said he wanted to expand the middle class outward and the lower and middle class outward. He did not want to go from top down. And
Hmm.
that was kind of his whole train of thought with that. And he explained it a little bit in his address, but mostly it's on here. Now, let me see. So this is the American Families Plan. So this is kind of about an investment in our children, our families, and our economic future. Um, spoke a little bit about different things. It says to grow the middle class, expand the benefits of economic growth to all Americans, and leave the United States more competitive. President Biden's American Families Plan will add at least 4 years of free education. Um, this is through high school, I believe. He was talking in community college. Provide direct support to children and families. Um, this one is going to provide direct support to families to ensure that low and middle class income families spend no more than 7% of their income on childcare. So they're going to do subsidies. Extend tax cuts for families with children and American workers. The American Families Plan will extend key tax cuts in the American Rescue Plan that benefit lower and middle income workers and families, including the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, and the child and dependent care tax credit. In addition to making it easier for families to make ends meet, tax credits for working families have been shown to boost child academic and economic performance over time. The American Families Plan will also extend the expanded healthcare insurance tax credits in the American Rescue Plan. These credits are providing premium relief that is lowering health insurance costs by an average of $50 per person per month for 9 million people, and will enable 4 million uninsured people to gain coverage. Um, it says, in all, the American Families Plan includes $1.8 trillion in investment and tax credit for American families and children over 10 years. It consists of about $1 trillion in investments and $800 billion in tax cuts for American families and workers. Alongside the American Families Plan, the president will be proposing a set of measures to make sure that the wealthiest Americans pay their taxes, while ensuring that no one making $400,000 per year or less will see their taxes go up.
There you go.
And that was a promise that he made on the campaign. Last year in May, I believe he proposed this on the campaign trail. I don't know where he was, but he was speaking and he said $400,000 or less, you will not see your taxes go up. That was a promise that he made last year. Let's see what else. There's a whole lot of things that they do outline. A lot about childcare. That's a big thing that they also focused on. And also right here, President Biden is calling for a national partnership with states to offer free, high quality, accessible, and inclusive preschool to all 3 and 4-year-olds, benefiting 5 million children and saving the average family $13,000 when fully implemented. This historic $200 billion investment in America's future will prioritize high-end areas, enable communities and families to choose the settings that work best for them. The president's plan will also ensure that all publicly funded preschool is high quality with low student to teacher ratios, high quality and developmentally appropriate curriculum and supportive class environments that are inclusive for all students. And then free community college and post-secondary education investments. They were discussing a little bit about that. And also they were saying 2 years of free community college to all Americans, including Dreamers as well, which are people under DACA. Oh, yeah, they're going to do the Pell Grants Award. So that's going to be $1,400 in additional assistance to lower income students. This one is kind of more towards, this little goal right here is kind of more towards increasing college retention and completion rates. So that's kind of more of a goal right there. And then it says provide 2 years of subsidized tuition and expand programs in high demand fields, such as historically Black colleges and universities, TCUs, and MSIs. So a lot of this is focused on education, also child care. So it's really focused on the middle class, I see, middle lower class. And I don't know, I think it's it's pretty good. What are your thoughts, Big Don?
Yeah, a lot of stuff there to help people find jobs, get the proper education to utilize those jobs. I mean, we're seeing these jobs becoming more and more advanced as time goes on. Even some of these lower class jobs. I mean, you're going to need a bit more of a technical background in order to understand some of this stuff. So, investing in education is good, especially early childhood education, which should be heavily prioritized, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean, we'll see what happens with the tax stuff. That's going to be coming around in November of where now we're going to increase stuff like individual tax rates, corporate tax rates. This could be debated among Congress, so we'll be on the lookout for that for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Excuse me. I was just drinking something really quick. But yeah, we're going to definitely see come in the fall when the next tax plans come out. What specifically are we going to see raises here, there, and also the bracket as well to determine who is going to pay how much? Because I know it's going to be an increase, but I just don't know how much. Because Trump's, I believe, was 22%. Is that correct?
Yeah, 21% for corporate tax.
21%. So I thought Biden was talking about, what was it, 20, or is it 30? I thought his desired was like 20, 28.
Yeah, around 28%. Joe Manchin's trying to negotiate down to 25 for corporate tax rates. And then for individual tax rates, that's obviously going to vary based on your income, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely see, but we're gonna see if Biden completes his campaign promise of 400,000 because they don't know. Some tax experts are saying that it could be a little bit lower, and it's going to affect some people who make a little bit less than 400K. But we'll see with that. But anyways, do you want to hear about the response now with Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina?
Yes.
All right, let's pull up a video. Actually, hold on. We're gonna pause this for 1 second. I'm gonna try to get a video on Twitter of this. Anyways, let's go see. Oh, by the way, guys, you can always go check us out in chat as well. Go find us in chat where you can always go check us out. Sorry about this, people. Is it currently, I think I currently, sorry. I'll pull up the video here. Tim Scott. Wanted to listen to a little bit of the speech. I don't think we're going to watch the whole thing, but we can definitely see some of it.
Oh, you use motorcycles?
Huh?
I got some motorcycles on my.
I can hear those. I can hear those.
There you go. There's something for the podcast.
I know. All you can hear here is just the winds blowing a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know if I share sound. Share sound. All right. This right here. Just
Juicy
1
has
second.
all the best flavors to help you crush your
These darn ads. Well, Liz is in the
All
chat.
right, here it is.
Nowhere
We're
do we
we're
need
talking about
common
Timmy Scott
ground
here.
more desperately than in our discussions of race. I have experienced the pain of discrimination. I know what it feels like to be pulled over for no reason, to be followed around the store while I'm shopping. I remember,
And this is just like highlights of racism, especially against progressives. And one of the things about this was that even though Biden only focused a little bit on race, the Republicans definitely wanted to highlight their diversity in their party. And they wanted to give national spotlight to Tim Scott, who I don't think a lot of people know who Tim Scott is beforehand. I mean, if you follow politics, I think they understand. I mean, I think they know who he is, but I think some people do not know that he is, I believe, the only Black senator who's a Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one. So I think this was, I think that what they were trying to do, I mean, first of all, I think they were trying to highlight the diversity that they're trying to, get, and also try to get more Black conservatives on board with this, and maybe African Americans who maybe, I think this was kind of a target at them as well, to show that the Republican Party is not just a party of old white people. I think this is also against, I think this is a thing of demographics as well, but it was interesting that they did choose Tim Scott to do this. But for a lot of this response, it was a lot about racism. And this right here is only 3 minutes. I don't really think we should be playing too much more than this. It was only about 14 minutes, but I want to really just show you guys this right here in the thing. So he's going to be talking a little bit about the racism that he has gotten from progressives.
nowhere do we need common ground more desperately than in our discussions of race. I have experienced the pain of discrimination. I know what it feels like to be pulled over for no reason, to be followed around the store while I'm shopping. I remember every morning at the kitchen table, my grandfather would open the newspaper and read it, I thought. But later I realized he had never learned to read it. He just wanted to set the right example. I've also experienced a different kind of intolerance. I get called Uncle Tom and the N-word by progressives, by liberals. Just last week, a national newspaper suggested my family's poverty was actually privilege. because a relative owned land generations before my time. Believe me, I know firsthand our healing is not finished. In 2015, after the shooting of Walter Scott, I wrote a bill to fund body cameras. Last year, after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, I built an even bigger police reform proposal. But my Democratic colleagues blocked it. I extended an olive branch. I offered amendments, but Democrats used a filibuster to block the debate from even happening. My friends across the aisle seem to want the issue more than they wanted a solution. But I'm still working. I'm hopeful that this will be different. When America comes together, we've made tremendous progress, but powerful forces want to pull us apart. 100 years ago, kids in classrooms were taught the color of their skin was their most important characteristic. And if they looked a certain way, they were inferior. Today, kids are being taught that the color of their skin defines them again.
Yeah, this is the controversial part. So a little bit of context here. He's basically talking about how I think this is kind of like a right-wing kind of talking point.
Yeah, this is. I mean, you see this a lot with Candace Owens and the whole entire Brexit movement.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. And it's not even that, but I mean, like even Republicans aligned with Trump who are white also believe in this as well. And I think we talked about this a little bit in how, history, especially in the US education system, is so controversial today because some people want to focus on, just slavery in general, and others just want to focus on, kind of look past slavery and, just discuss the founding fathers and idolize them. So there's kind of like these two different concepts that are going going at it with each other, like two different perceptions of just seeing America and how it was formed.
Yeah.
And I think that it's controversial today because also the 1619 project, I mean, that just came about 2 years ago now, and it has become very controversial in the eyes of conservatives.
Yeah, it became so controversial, in fact, that President Trump himself made the 1776 project or bill, whatever it's called, pretty much the exact opposite of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do have to agree with you here. I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard to like dictate like what exactly Republicans want, because a lot of the times it's this sort of strategy of, okay, Black people need to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. And there are some instances where Republicans want to provide aid. Actually, Liz in the chat wants to know what the police reform bill he's referring to. I'm assuming, even though I haven't looked at the bill, I'm assuming it's probably along the lines of something like, we need to increase more training for police, which I do agree. But I think Republicans generally are very sort of limited, for lack of better terms, in terms of what we need to do in terms of progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree there. I think that especially with hold on, I'm just looking up the police reform bill that Tim Scott. I'm going to try to look at what he was saying. But yeah, I think that with the whole context of the history, and also just in general, just like the Republican way of thinking on this, is that I believe that the Republicans believe that this new kind of left-leaning curriculum that is taught in public schools, especially in public schools, because private schools, they can teach kind of their own curriculum in a way. I think it's kind of focused on, promoting the ideologies of Black Lives Matter.
Identity politics.
Identity politics.
That's a big term that the right uses, identity politics. And sort of, I think what they sort of envision like schools saying now, even though I don't think there's any validity to it, maybe in like some instances, is probably stuff like, oh, what, like the ideas of white privilege, which, I mean, I think a lot of it is sort of mistreated by conservatives. It's pretty much the idea that on average whites have more privilege in like some social and economic aspects compared to other races,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think it's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main thing is because whites are the majority, I think that that's one main reason. I think that, I don't know, I think whenever there's a majority in a country, they kind of do benefit in a way compared to the minority populations who, are less. And maybe they live in certain areas where there's less opportunity. I mean, you can see that in some countries today where minorities definitely don't get the better end of the stick. And I think that since our history, I mean, when you say there's no systemic racism, sometimes you don't get the full scope of the history, because
Yeah,
historically the US has been systemically racist.
yeah, like even still now,
Yeah.
whenever I talk, whenever we talk about systemic racism, we're not talking about like, oh, there's not like a specific law that says, oh, screw black people, lol. It's not that it's not that complicated. Well, it is
Mhm.
complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
And-
stuff. I mean, if you look at stuff like like redlining and sort of the I mean, redlining is. I mean, the conservatives like to argue that it's gone. I think there's still some effects of it being felt. This
Mhm.
definitely has continued ever since it was abolished in the 70s,
Mhm.
and there's still like historical implications with that in terms of how it affects sort of generations of families. In the United States, I mean, a lot of the wealth or sort of the upward mobility of the United States is the upward mobility of the United States is pretty low. So if you come from like a family or like a tree that was historically oppressed, you're much more likely to not receive like any particular wealth. And this is definitely true of black people.
Mhm.
I mean, I think like black people have like I'm not sure what the statistics are, but I think they're like 40 times as like what less wealthy than like white people.
Yeah, there's actually, I was just seeing this the other day. Hold on. I'm gonna try to look it up while you can keep talking about it. It's
Yeah, if I may. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that black people face. Like for example, so if you look at studies like going over arrest rates, sentencing, black people are face significant violations towards that, and whether or not that comes down to implicit bias or legitimate racism, I think this needs to be fixed. We also talk about education in terms of how education is funded. I mean, for property taxes, obviously, black people are more likely to live in poor communities, so the property value of those homes is going to be less. Therefore, it's going to be taxed less.
mhm.
So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really say like, okay, black people can't have this. They're equal under the law officially, but there's a lot of stuff there that sort of either just undermines them in terms of the historical context that they face,
Mhm.
and there's some other stuff, like example, voter ID laws that deeply
Yep.
affect them.
Mhm. I don't mean to cut you off, but here is something that I found. This is on net worth of black and white, the wealth gap. This is from Brookings EDU. So this is saying at $171,000, the net worth of a typical white family is nearly 10 times greater than that of a black family, which is $17,150. This was
Yeah,
back in 2016. So it is a little bit old, but still, it does show you how wide inequality still is.
yeah. I
And
think
it
the
says, hmm?
I remember seeing something in the Boston Globe that the average black household is only worth $8.
Yeah, I think there was something like that. And then white is like, I don't know how much the white family was. I know that if they looked at all the races, I believe Asian was first, white, Latino, and black. I believe that's the rankings of it. I believe that's what it was. But black and Latino were basically about the same. I think Latino was just a few dollars more, but still, it shows how inequality is still high and large in the US, no matter where you're from.
Yeah, and we talked about this plenty of times on the show.
Yeah, we have. We've definitely discussed this a lot, um, especially in this. But I just want to go through a little bit of the thing. They were talking a little bit about reasons why. One of them, of course, is slavery. 246 years of chattel slavery. They discussed that. They discussed.
Obviously, Jim Crow. Crow laws have been a huge factor in that. I mean, black people were treated like second-class citizens back then.
They also talked about the Tulsa massacre, which actually damaged the economy of Tulsa and also Black Wall Street. They were talking about Jim Crow laws. They're talking about also the GI Bill, its controversy, and redlining, of course, and just some other discriminatory policies that were in place in the 20th century that definitely put the Black population back. And yeah, I think that a lot of people don't really realize when you say, because I mean, what Tim Scott eventually said in his thing was, America is not a racist country. And I think what he was meaning was about systemic racism and the whole argument that was, I think, brought into the public eye last year. I think during the whole George Floyd protests, I think that was definitely brought into the public eye last year. And I think that to deny it is kind of hard because I think you're denying the whole history of the country. You know, you're denying everything that happened from the early 1600s to today, like in this very moment. I don't think you're denying, because I mean, today we have made so much progress, but still there's still progress to be made, especially in terms of solving racial inequality, class inequality, and everything else that stems from our system. And I think that it's not going to take a day. It's going to take a lifetime to make change. And I think that it shows you how much life has changed, you know, ever since the 1700s when the country was just coming about to now. And I think that with that, and even when you look back, you know, in the 1960s, you know, Jim Crow was still going on. That was not too long ago. That was only about 50, 60 years ago, you know? There are people still alive that remember Jim Crow, which is crazy to me. So that generation hasn't even died yet, you know?
Yeah, there are people that are still alive today
Mm-hmm.
that were against the civil rights movement.
That's also scary, you know?
Think about that.
You know, that's something that I think in 20 years from now, probably by then, it'll most likely be almost all those people will be dead by then. But still, I mean, that's not that long ago. Like, don't forget, there are people still alive from World War II, and that was prior to the civil rights movement. That was 20 years prior. A little historical perspective there. So when you really look at it, you know, denying, I mean, I understand why Republicans would deny it, you know. I think I do understand reasons why politicians might say, well, it's not a racist country today, but we do have a past that is racist. And there isn't systemic racism today, but there was in the past. I mean, I kind of get why, but at the same time, they really need to look at it and look at how it has affected today's society, today's inequality, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and we can debate like what the exact policies should be, but I think there needs to be like some admission from, especially both. I'm gonna go ahead and say this: both sides of the party, that there is a problem, and we need something to invest in these communities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But yeah, I think we covered Tim Scott here. I know we didn't get to the end of this speech, but it was a trending topic for Twitter once his speech came out that he said that America was not a racist country. Obviously, that's been heavily disputed. I don't really think it's a racist country now, but there's still, like we said, there's definitely a lot of scars left that disproportionately affect minority groups.
I agree. I think that when you look at it today, you can see that there are still, I mean, scars. I think that there are still scars today as well. You see it with police brutality. You see it with just the whole inequality, wealth inequality, lack of opportunity, and also just how some people are still biased. And I think that that's something that still needs to be addressed, still needs to be looked at. But I think that overall, Tim Scott kind of does have an argument in a way in saying that we're not a racist country anymore. because I mean these discriminatory policies are not going on anymore. But I think that overall, you could also make the argument that it is still racist.
Yeah.
Just with the whole scars and everything that is still present.
Yeah, I'm gonna address chat real quick because
Oh, the
Liz is going off.
chat's going off. Okay.
Chat's
I'll
going
give you a
off.
little chat break.
Liz is recommending a movie called Hella. Hella Cells.
Okay.
Go look at this. Go look this shit up.
Oh, is that I heard about it. Is that the woman Henrietta Lacks, I believe? I believe she was like 30 something and she passed away. I think she had cancer back in the 1930s,
Yep.
40s,
50s.
1950s. Yeah, I didn't really know too much about it. I've heard a little bit about it, but I never really got any I don't know a lot about it.
Harriet.
Henrietta Lacks.
Henrietta. Do.
Yeah, the movie is called Henrietta Lacks. I can look it
No,
up.
this is a person, not a movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's a movie though. It's a motion picture.
Henrietta Lacks was an African American woman whose cancer cells are the source for Henrietta Lacks cells, the force immortalization of human cells, one of the most
I got it
important
right
cells in medical research. There was a book by it that was written in the early 2000s. Probably some Project MK Ultra stuff right here.
It says today these incredible cells are nicknamed Hella cells from the first two letters of our first and last names. These are used to study the effects of toxins, drugs, hormones, and viruses on the growth of cancer cells without experimenting on humans. They have been used to test the effects of radiation and poisons, to study the human genome, to learn more about how viruses work, and played a crucial role in the development of the polio vaccine. Although Miss Lax ultimately passed away on October 4th, 1951, at the age of 31, her cells continue to impact the world. So this is like, I believe this is a movie or something. But yeah, wow.
There you go. You learn something new every day, people.
You do. Wow, that's incredible. People.
Shout out to our brothers. All right, let's.
Oh, this is the bill, by the way, that we were discussing a little bit. This is
yeah,
the one, Tim Scott. It said
Timothy Scott.
they never verbally said to ban chokeholds. It's to just stop using them. So that's why it was a little controversial. And I believe that's why it never was passed.
They didn't want to go that far, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it said led by Senator Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina, the chamber's lone Black Republican. The bill includes measures aimed at increasing transparency at police agencies and around use of force incidents while incentivizing departments to use body cameras and ban chokeholds by withholding federal grant money. Scott said this about the bill. Too often, we're having a discussion in this nation about, are you supporting the law enforcement community or are you supporting communities of color? This is a false binary choice.
False binary.
Yeah, it did not pass, and I believe it was because of that.
Yeah. They didn't want to go far enough with that. I mean, it is what it is. And by the way, the significance of those cells were that it was done without her consent.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so that's I mean, we've had a history in this country where people have just been experimented on. Did you hear what happened with who was it? Ted Kaczynski.
No.
So the Unabomber. He's a I guess you could call him a serial killer. He sent bombs to universities and stuff like that.
When was this?
This was like in the 90s.
I think I've heard of it, yeah.
And Ted Kaczynski, he was a genius kid. He was one of those child prodigies where he had like an IQ of like 160 or over that. He went to Harvard at 16, and then he was experimented on in like their psychological experiments. And a lot of people theorized that that's what led to become a crazed sort of person that moved down to Montana and then sent bombs.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah, we have a messed up history of that.
That's yeah, that's regarding the healthcare aspect of the country. But yeah, that is insane. I mean, you hear about these things happening in other countries, countries that are a little bit behind, but I mean, in this country, and that didn't even happen that long ago. That's insane. That's insane.
It is insane.
It's hard to believe, but wow. But it's sad and it's true. All righty.
All right, let's switch topics here.
Yeah, we've been talking. I think we got a little bit. This is the thing. I think we got a little bit on a. We went off on a little bit of a tangent, and then we got a little distracted, and then
yeah. Now we got to pick up some speed here.
Yeah, we got to pick up some speed here. We don't want to keep you lack. I think we're almost on an hour on the Biden topic now. So
yeah, let's move on to Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes, Caitlyn Jenner. So as a lot of people know, or they might not know, regarding the recall. So there's been a growing number of supporters in California for the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom, who's a Democrat. Now, the reason why people want him, they believe that he really did not do well with coronavirus. There's also been a lot of anger in terms of him breaking his own rules with coronavirus, but there's also been some other issues why partisan and other reasons. But a lot of people have started to get really, for lack of a better term, livid with current Governor Newsom. So people really want to recall him. And one person who has decided that she wants to run is Caitlyn Jenner, who's well known in the public eye. Was a part of the Kardashian Jenner family, former track star Bruce Jenner. And they believe that since she is pretty much in the public eye, that she could be a great contender for the position. Now, I believe that Caitlyn Jenner is a Republican. I believe that is her political affiliation. So I believe that's how she's going to have to run. They also said that she has been in ties with Trump people to run her campaign. So she really wants to get people who are experienced, who understand how to run a campaign for the upcoming 2022 election for the governor. So she really wants to, get a team around her to really have a professional, to run professional operations for her campaign. I don't know how it's going to go. The last time California did see a celebrity type person run was with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 2003.
The great governor of California.
Oh, so yeah, he won that in 2003. He was a Republican, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was.
He was a Republican as well. And he was discussing a little bit about it too, and saying that she's going to need to have like a good team around her. But it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Are Democrats who have voted for Newsom in the past, are they going to stick with him, or are they going to go give a celebrity a try at office? And I mean, we've seen this before.
Yeah, we've seen this with Reagan. We've seen
Ronald
this with
Reagan.
Schwarzenegger.
We've seen this on the national level with Trump. Now we're seeing this with Caitlyn Jenner. I think it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, let's look up Newsom's approval rating.
Yeah, let's go give that a look up. I think it's around 40 something, but I can go check it out.
Now, in terms of my thoughts on this, I think this is going to be a really uphill battle if Caitlyn Jenner decides to run as a Republican. Because I think even though it's California, I mean, Republicans are pretty anti-trans.
Yes. And not only that too, but I mean, if you look here, it says a double-digit majority of likely voters said they would vote to retain Newsom, with 56% saying they would keep him versus 40% seeking to jettison the Democratic governor. And also, I think California is almost about 70 or 80% around there Democrats. So I mean, it's going to be hard for a Republican challenger to take him out if
Yeah.
he is the nominee, and I believe he probably will be the nominee. So it is going to be hard. If it was a state like, I don't know, a state that's pretty much a swing state every election, like Florida or Ohio, or a state that has close margins, like honestly, it would probably be a lot easier to take him out. But I think due to how California is basically a breeding grounds for Democrats, how popular it is for Democratic figures, I think that it's going to be really hard for someone like Caitlyn Jenner, who has no experience in politics. I mean, is in the public eye, which definitely is helpful, but overall doesn't have any experience with politics. And she's going against someone who still has some support, but still his support has dwindled. I think that has definitely is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I think she could get a good percentage if she were to get the nomination, but she needs to get the nomination.
Yeah.
And unless she pulls out like a complete like Trump move and then just, has like changes to the Republican Party of California,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I mean, we could, though. Then again, I'm not sure there's really any heavy hitters in the Republican Party for California that could
I
challenge
believe there's
this.
one Brian Cox, I believe. But anyways, this is also a headline. This was Newsweek from about a week ago. A lot of pro-Trump conservatives have come out against Caitlyn Jenner's California campaign. So I think because Caitlyn Jenner is transgender, also probably because she also is a part of the whole Jenner Kardashian family, they don't really want her to be the nominee. They don't think that she would be the best fit and also maybe the best choice for the Republicans. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's hard to tell. I think that still a lot of people in California who were Republicans were big Trump supporters. And I don't know if a lot of former Trump, people, some of them are being critical of this. It's going to be hard to, first you're going to need basically about 95% of the Republican vote in California, and add that to, I'd say about 35-40% of the Democrat vote to even come close. So, I mean, right there, you're going to have to make up a lot of ground. And I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how this shakes up. I think it's going to shake things up pretty well in terms of, okay, well, we need to nominate someone.
Oh boy, Nicholas Fuentes had something to say.
Nick, we can't allow the party of Trump to become the Caitlyn Jenner. Well, geez, Nick. Wait, why is Newsweek showing Nick Fuentes?
And Leo Terrell also voiced his disapproval of this. I will not support Caitlyn Jenner for governor. She's not a Trump Republican. A Trump's Republican can win in California. And then
Michael Knowles.
He had to
they are highlighting these conservative figures. They're going as far as Nick Fuentes, the Wiper King himself.
Yeah, they're really, but I think it's to show how divided the party is. And even though Caitlyn Jenner did have some former Trump people working for her for this campaign, a lot of people don't like her. A lot of people do not want this to happen.
I mean, you can see it right now. Look at Michael Knowles here.
Yeah,
having left the state, I've no longer have a dog in this fight, but it will be absolutely hilarious if the first female governor of California were a man. Michael Knowles.
Not good.
Not the best take you have there.
Yeah, it's not really looking good. Again, you're gonna have to have a big support. You're gonna have to get a lot of young women to vote for you. Also, a lot of young people too. I think the one thing that does benefit Caitlyn Jenner, as I already pointed out, is kind of her presence in the public eye, especially being related to, the Jenners and also with the
Well, she is a
Kardashian
Jen.
family. Oh yeah, yeah, but also with her children,
The
and also,
Kardashians.
yeah, and also with the Kardashian family. I think a lot of younger people might actually, view that as better, and they might recognize her more than the governor right now of Governor Newsom. But I don't know. It's going to be hard. I think that we're going to cover this for the summer because a lot of in the summer we're going to be boosting up the videos for all of you. We're going to be getting a lot more projections, election projections. We're going to be doing more of the live stream as well. So the summer is going to be the grind season. And we're definitely going to have more of this when this race becomes more, when this race becomes more, when we have more updates to bring you for this
Yeah,
race.
what?
But I mean, it's early on.
We'll cover the primaries for it.
Yeah, we'll cover the primaries. We'll give you some city election results as well.
Yeah, New York City is going to be a big one.
Is it going to be Yang Gang? Who knows?
Yeah, Yang is interesting.
Could Yang win? I don't know.
He's leading the polls in New York. Let's see here. I'm going to look up New York mayoral election polls. Adams close in on Yang according to Politico.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting. I think Mayor of Miami might actually be interesting as well. Miami is kind of conservative, but we'll see on that one as well. And then internationally, the Mayor of London will also be one to look at as well. But I think those three are going to be, I think New York and also, this one too for governor in 2022 will be good. And then also the governor of Ohio as well, Tim Ryan, who's a former Democrat, former Democratic candidate for 2020. He's wanting to be senator, I believe. Or no, governor. He was running for one of those two. But anyways, let's go over right here. And this is like the last thing of the night. The census. So the census the other day was released. On April 1st, the population of the United States is now 331,449,281. We have seen the resident population increase by 22,703,743, or 7.4% from 2010. So we have seen the population increase. That's due to a number of factors. Most populous state is California with 39,538,000. Least populous, Wyoming, just over half a million. The state that got the most, though,
was Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, the movement from all those states, those COVID states.
Yeah, almost 4 million people moved to Texas. Wow. Fastest growing state since the 2010 census was Utah, believe it or not.
Hey, those Mormons.
Yeah, they have definitely increased. I think also some people from Cali moved there. Some people probably like it because it's cheaper. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. But on the political side, this is what the map is going to look like for future elections. So we saw kind of a trend here. States in the Midwest lost one electoral vote or one House seat. New York lost one. You have Pennsylvania lost one. West Virginia lost one. Ignore Alabama. That was not official. These are just some of the states that did gain one. Texas did gain two. Montana did gain one. Oregon gained one. Colorado gained one. And yes, these were them. Florida, I believe, gained one, and North Carolina might have gained one. But Michigan, Ohio. Hold on, I actually tweeted this the other day. Twitter. Let's go on to Twitter. We tweeted this the other day. Here it is. These states will gain House seats. My bad. Texas with 2, Oregon with 1, Florida with 1, North Carolina with 1, Colorado with 1, and Montana with 1. And the states that will lose House seats are primarily Democratic. You have New York, California, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Illinois, and Michigan. Those were the states. Texas did gain 2, though, because of their surge. Almost 4 million people moved to Texas over that time, which is pretty, it's pretty big.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that could be a pretty big political shift as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think you're going to definitely see political shifts. I think that what this shows you is that a lot of people have been moving away from the Midwest over time, and that they have been going to more states like Sunbelt states, specifically the South, or they've also been, staying in the area but not staying in the same state. You could see that with New York. People might have moved to other states around the New York area or moved to the South. But looking at it here, the far West has gained a little bit. Oregon gained one seat, and also Montana gained a seat, and Colorado gained a seat. But mostly Texas, North Carolina, Florida, those states have been expanding over time. Florida and Texas, they have definitely been growing. But you see states like California, New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, they have kind of seen a little bit of an exodus, especially with California. A lot of people from California have moved to Texas because of maybe being fed up with the government, also not liking California because of how expensive it is. And I mean, you see that, but I think that states like Texas and Florida and North Carolina, they've been becoming more contentious because people have been moving away. And I think you've seen a rise in the Democratic Party in these states. You saw it with Arizona.
Yeah, we did.
I think
that's Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia as well. I think that come time, Texas is going to be the new Georgia. It's just a matter of when. And I mean, we've spoke about this too. And I mean, it's all this kind of talk is all over different talks in the political realm. Is when is Texas going to go blue? We know it's going to be blue sooner than later, but when? And how are the Republicans going to try to get a new movement going for the youth? That's going to be something that they really need to keep an eye on, because they're not going to win the immigrant vote, but how are they going to win, older white men, but also younger white suburban women and also white suburban men, and also how to expand people in the suburbs, both Latino and Black populations as well. How are they going to reach that? Because Texas is a pretty diverse state. And also just with everyone moving away and going to Texas, it has also made the political game a lot more contentious. Good news for the Democrats, not good news for the Republicans.
Yeah, well said. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. Like you said, I think this shift, especially in Texas, is going to become probably not within this election cycle, but maybe the next, or maybe soon after that. I guess because of our changing demographics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is why you fill out the census, people.
Mm-hmm. You fill out the census, you get your voices heard in every state. If their population goes up by a lot, you get more of a say. If it doesn't, you get less of a say. So states like in the Midwest and in the Northeast who, saw declines in the population will also see a decline in representation.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But it's definitely something to look at and also just to keep an eye on. Anyways, let's go. We haven't done this in a while. We want to go see what's on Twitter trending, Big Don?
Yeah, let's see what the Twitterverse is doing right now.
Twitter universe. All right. Let's see. Anyways, Oh yeah, today was the Kentucky Derby, so a little bit of a sport thing. Medina Spirit has won.
They
The
come up
next,
with weird names to name these horses.
yeah, I think the Soup and Sandwich was a name for a horse.
Soup and sandwich.
Yeah, Twitter always does these random things, but today, socialism in 5 words. Let's go. All right. Anyways, before we do that,
Where's Dr. Richard Wolf?
Big Dog, what do you want to give socialism in 5 words? Do you have any like words to explain socialism?
Do I go with the meme version, or
what do you think people are
I'm
going to say?
I'm gonna say the meme version first, but I got first to see you. It's 5 words.
Okay.
Okay. First, I need to write this shit down first. I can get my pen.
What do you think? What do you think people are going to say on Twitter?
Socialism is when the government does stuff, or it's gonna be that's probably gonna be the conservative definition. There's also gonna be the definition of the workers owning the means of production.
Yep, that's the one I was expecting.
When the
government does stuff. Anyways, let's go see what the Twitterverse is. Somebody wrote.
Oh, yep, that is 5 words.
Somebody wrote this one. I don't really want to show them. Talk about politics at its best. Socialism is better than fascism. Socialism helps people, not corporations. Socialism is in communism. They're different. And Trump cultists don't understand socialism. See another one. All righty, John Steinbeck. This is what it says. Socialism never took root in America because the poor there see themselves not as exploited proletariat, but as temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Wow. John Steinbeck. Let's see here. Let's move on. All right. Socialism for the rich. This country has socialism for the rich, rugged individualism for the poor. That was Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. This one's kind of at Big Pharma. Look at this.
You look at it.
Oh my God. Pfizer, 47 million. That's going up. Regeneron, $118 million. This industry right here, I'm telling you, if you want money, go there. Let's see, anything else? This one's an infographic.
We have socialist programs. Those are not really socialist, though. I mean, those are just government agencies.
Mm-hmm. Some people don't understand what socialism means.
Yeah, actually, go on YouTube.
All right.
Hold on, I'm going to because I'll show you. I've shown this meme before on the podcast, but I'll show it again. Go on YouTube.
I'm gonna get on there right now. I'm gonna just Big Dog, go promote our Twitter for 1 second.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right. If you want to check out what our latest polls and posts are going to be, feel free to follow us on Twitter at Peace and Chaos P1. That is at Peace and Chaos P1. Make sure to check that out. Also, make sure to check out our Instagram, even though PJ does not have that pulled up right now. That is at Peace and Chaos _podcast. Make sure to check that out. We also post some polls there. We try to do them weekly. We also post up when our latest videos will be coming up, so you guys will be kept up to date. We're also trying to. That's also our go-to place in order for you to reach out to us. So if you want us to cover something, or you want to appear on a video, please make sure to message us on either of these platforms. We are very much looking forward to people getting on this show. We have a lot of ideas for the summer, including a debate show. We want this to be a lot more interactive. So please make sure to check us out on our social media programs. And not to mention, make sure you subscribe and like this video in order to keep up with what's good. Because as we mentioned before, we do have some plans for the summer right now. There's the meme.
Hello. Let's see if this works. I feel like a high school professor right now.
It's Dr. Richard Wolf. He's a professor at UMass.
Anyways, let's go.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.
Look at him.
He just figured it out. So That's pretty much what that tag is in a nutshell.
That's a funny video. Yeah, people, go check out some of those videos and educate yourself, because the clowns in Twitter, sometimes there's some idiocracy.
Don't
that
get your
goes in.
information from Twitter.
Plus, yeah, Twitter is just simpletons. Let's see what else is going on Twitter before we call it a noche.
NFL draft.
NFL draft, yeah. UFC's going on, big fights. Amir Garrett, I don't know why. LaMelo. Soup and sandwich. Yeah, there was a
Hey.
yeah, ready? The 2021 Kentucky Derby is just around the bend. Well, this was before it happened today. And with it comes a crop of curiously named contenders, including Superstock, Helium, and the delicious sounding soup and sandwich. And for people who don't know, there's actually, like, in GTA, you can bet on horses. I play that sometimes. There's a horse on there. Ready for this one, Big Don?
Oh, geez, what's it called?
Tax the poor.
Yeah, that's what socialism is.
Yeah, it's just tax the poor. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, there's some silly names. I don't know why people would name them different
Mitts
names.
in the news.
Yeah, Mitt Romney. It says Senator Mitt Romney was booed by over 2,100 Republican delegates for the party's state convention. This was in Utah. He says, I'm a man who says what he means, and I was not a fan of our last president's character issues, Romney said. And then people started shouting communist and traitor at him.
Well, there you go. We're going back to our memes there.
Yep. Communist and traitor.
Oh,
well.
I don't know how people can justify being a communist, but okay.
I don't know. I think that's what the labels are today. The more evil it sounds, the better. Any other crazy stuff? May Day was today, worldwide. I think that's why communism is kind of trending today. Oh boy, look who it is.
Antifa.
Andy.
Andy, no.
Andy, no. Let's see. Let's just play this a little bit.
See, this is the theme of Twitter. It's now become a communist hellhole. Look at this. Look at this. They're just moving.
Where did Andy No move to? He said I think he left the U.S.
Probably did.
I don't think this is in the U.S. Is this? It doesn't look like it.
No, that can't be. It could be. I don't know. It doesn't look like. It's in
Paris.
Paris.
Paris. Yeah, it did not look like the United States. I could tell you that. Yeah, that guy, he's been up to something. I don't even know where he lives now. UK. He always puts out these Antifa things. That's what he does. That's literally all he does now. That's what he specializes in. Antifa. But other than that, yeah, nothing really going on. MLB news and sports for the most part. Let's go over to the news really quickly. Coronavirus. Yeah, Australians. I don't know if you heard this. Australians could now face $66,000 fine and jail time if they come back from India because of the coronavirus, how bad it has gotten there. Other news. Biden's 100 days was 2 days ago. Hey, this one's cool. The world's longest pedestrian suspension bridge just opened in Portugal the other day.
Hey.
Talk about infrastructure.
Yeah, that's where we need to get right there.
Footbridges.
We need to break that record.
Not bad. Not bad. Anyways, it's looking like it is almost time to call this one a wrap. Now, I don't know about next week, Big Don.
Yeah, we might take a little hiatus. It's fine.
We're going to take 1 week, break. So we're going to do a 1 week break, people. But we will be back. And when we say we'll be back, because right now I feel like my energy has kind of gotten a little bit lower, as you could tell tonight. I was a little bit tired, but I still wanted to do the show. But we want to come back, and we're going to come in strong. So 2 weeks from now, which is going to be today the 1st, 15th. Saturday, mark your calendar. Saturday, the 15th, will be on at 8 p.m. And then from there, we're probably going to do about 2 or 3 days a week stream, I believe. We're going to be doing a couple nights. But we'll update you with that. We're going to be making videos. We're going to be getting really active. Twitter feeds are about to get super active. Big Don and I, we're basically not really like, we only have like minimal work. We're going to be working like temporarily. So we will be having a lot more time to put forth in this program because we want to make the Peace and Chaos program one of the best political talk show type programs on YouTube. We're going to be aiming at expanding to Spotify as well. And also we're going to try to get more debates going and also projection type videos as well. So we're going to definitely do that on top of this kind of talk show as well. So we're going to try to build the Peace and Chaos media. And I think we're going to have it for this summer. This summer is officially known as grind season. Welcome to grind season. May 15th, it starts.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Rip headphone users.
Oh, yeah. I think we just woke up some people.
Type in chat if you've been woke up.
They just woke them up. Yeah, we definitely woke up someone.
Get woke.
Yeah, so hype. We're gonna put it on all our, platform. Hype season. Hype. Grind season. Grind season. Hustle season. We'll call it something cool. Anyways, that's gonna do it for today. May 15th starts the new season. We're gonna be going all the way probably till late August with grind season. That means 2 to 3 episodes a week, plus also amazing content. I'm telling you, I think by the end of the summer, we're going to have a movement. I'm saying it now. It's May 1st now. We got that 1 week break. We're coming back in and ready to go. Big Don and I will be having a lot of great guests on. You're going to hear a lot of great things. In the summer, I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing reactions too, some fun reactions and stuff. We're going to be having a whole lot of stuff to get to. Big Don, any last words before we say goodbye for 2 weeks for all our listeners?
Yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to be gone for 2 weeks, so make sure you don't terrorize our channel anyway. But we're going to be trying our best to expand throughout the summer. This is only the beginning, people. We got a lot of stuff in store for you. As PJ has highlighted, make sure to check out our Instagram.
Peace and Chaos _podcast. That is Peace and Chaos _podcast on there. And on Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. That is Peace and Chaos P1. Go check us out on there. Every Thursday, we're going to do a
new poll.
So we're going to have a poll up for this Thursday. We hope that a lot of you can do it to go vote in the poll. We're going to really try to get as active as possible with our listeners, our people that listen to us on a normal basis. And yes, we're still going to have Saturday streams for the summer. So for the most part, we're probably going to be still doing Saturday streams. It's more of trying to expand to weekdays. We'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks. Big Don and I will be meeting about that soon. We're going to be getting GeoGuessr. That's going to be a new series for the summer as well.
GeoGuessr.
Well, we're going to be having episodes 3 and up. That'll be coming on in the summer. And yeah, we're going to be doing some amazing, live guests and also some, maybe a documentary or something along those lines as well. So we have a lot of special videos planned for you all. We're going to definitely do a lot more for the summer. But yes, thank you all for sticking with us. Summer is grind season. May 15th, it starts. No excuses. Thank you all again, and I hope you all have a great day. See ya.
Peace.
Peace.
In the bedroom.
Stopped?